In this admin training session, I'm going to explain you how you can import your Word document automatically. Weagree has very elaborate tooling to automate the copy-paste process of getting your Word document into the Weagree Wizard. And I'm going to explain you now how that works so that you can do it for yourself. We're going to upload eventually the Word document that we have been inserting copy-paste so far, and now we're going to do it in an automatic way. I started this training series by explaining to you that the cover page is part of the house style. So as that is the case, you don't need to upload that either. And I'm going to remove it. Also, for the table of contents of your agreement, that is to be inserted either automatically or not inserted at all, and it depends on how you define it in the template settings. So there's also no reason to include this and import a table of contents. It's going to clutter the upload and clutter your overview. So also that part should be removed over here. Then the first part of the agreement that we're uploading is going to be a parties block, which is in the end nothing more than something taken from the clause library. That means that as it's going to be picked from the clause library, I should not first of all import it. There's no big deal if you would import it, because during the uploading of the document and importing, you can still remove it, but for now, to make our life easier, I'm going to remove that as well. What we have then over here and that remains is what we want to import. There are white lines over here. It's going to remove all the white spacing, the empty paragraphs that you have in your document, simply because that is going to be taken over by the styling in your dot file or by the EOL, and that is something you would need to insert later on. But there shouldn't be that many in your document, because the dot file should deal with the white spacing that you find between the paragraphs. What I've done with this training document is that I also included a confidentiality clause. We know that that is already in the clause library, but I'm also going to show you how after the automated upload of plain text, you can add this clause to your clause library. We're going to do a fictitious case for that being useful. Then in the end, I've marked those clauses that are truly to be taken from the clause library by mere square brackets, and the annex is inserted right here as well. I can also say put here placeholder if you wish, and then we have everything ready to go. Let's start at the administrator page. You should know it by now, and as you know, when you want to upload your Word document, you start by clicking the button under contract automation, of course, on the administrator page, which says to import your model contract, click here. I'm going to zoom out substantially, because the sub-item that's going to be inserted here is evaluation license agreement is here. I want to put it under admin training templates or wherever you want to put it. And if I now list it over here, I have the possibility to assign it to a user group and click OK. Let's zoom in again. Then I can add a file, which is basically the user guidance notes. The explanatory note is for evaluation of technology, including software. Versioning is something for later. Projects is something we're not going to deal with right now. You can select the dot file, and I can do an automated import, and that's what we do now. So different than in a previous admin training session, now we are going to work with the automated import, and that is what this training essentially is about. I'm going to save these changes. It's going to create now my what is called template carrier. It's going to be visible on the new contract page, and it opens a large pop-up. And the only thing I can do in the pop-up is that I browse to my folder. I can select the Word document that I would like to upload, which is essentially the Word document that I just showed, I recommend that you close the Word document from your Word browser before uploading it. It could happen that some document management systems lock the Word document, which makes it impossible if you have it opened to upload it again. You might probably recognize that. So if it gives an error that it cannot upload, you should close the Word document first, have it saved plain, and then select it from the system. I am going to open it. It's going to sort of prepare the document, and what you can see right now is in the pop-up that it basically cuts up all the paragraphs of the Word document, and it's going to assign blocks to it. You probably recognize it. Background, I don't want to have it that shouting, so I'm going to name the unique name on the left-hand side, background, with lowercase. Then this is licensed software, so that should be licensed software. Now, what Weagree is going to do is it picks the first, say, 25 characters, and it makes up a unique name for the navigation on the left-hand side. It did know from the dot file, from the formatting in the Word document, how those clauses needed to be formatted, so it already assigned the formatting to it. If you do have a house style for your firm as well, where all the paragraphs level 1, level 2, level 3 have a dedicated styling and have the dot file with that styling uploaded to the Weagree Wizard, then Weagree will automatically recognize this. Corporates, you sometimes find reference to heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4 to be the level 1, 2, 3, 4. Law firms typically have their own sort of tailor-made formatting. If you have your own dot file uploaded to the system and you had selected it before the upload in the small pop-up just a few seconds ago, then it will recognize your own dot styles and it will basically apply the styling accordingly. Then what Weagree cannot do, of course, is that it's going to second guess what the content is of the clauses. So all you need to do right now is that you walk through the document and that you say basically wishes to evaluate and name all those clauses. Now therefore, as what is not accurate, it's what is called words of agreement. And you would basically walk through it. What you need to check is that the clauses that are to be on level 1 are actually going to be here clicked the button level 1, and that the sub items are level 2. Definitions, as you can see over here, are there's a separate button for that. If it doesn't automatically do that, what you would do is basically you click on it and it will pick it up. Then confidential information has the meaning ascribed to it. What it is a defined term, confidential information, and the unique reference name is probably one that I would like to add myself for dedicating it to this template. Sometimes this might go wrong in that you already have a definition like that. What Weagree then does is that it picks it up, it notifies it, of course, that the definition is already there, and it will replace it with that definition and notify you of that event. The definition of disclosing party is a similar one. Then the definition of receiving party is one, and it's also a definition. It has the styling definition. And for the definitions, I recommend that you take a closer look as to the naming and unique naming, of course. And then if you walk through the rest of the document, you will see that it picks up style 2, license grant, unique name, license scope. It'll probably work is the number of end users. The unique name essentially is a unique name that is in this uploaded Word document. So it's not a unique name in the Weagree Wizard system wherever you are. It's only a unique name over here. So sometimes if you have a Word document that uploads with one article and the sections in that article all starts by the parties agree blah blah blah, or the seller shall do blah blah blah, then there's a good chance that you will see unique names proposed being the parties agree that, or several times. So here it is important that you take care of renaming those clauses and give them a meaningful name. The temporal scope of the license, then there's the license fee. We have the restrictions on ownership clause on level 1. It comes out neatly. Then the license restrictions is going well. Reverse engineer. We can cut this a little bit and give it an uppercase. Remove or circumvent. What you see is that the unique names are always a full word. It's not going to cut the word somewhere halfway the word. Copy, translate, modify. And then disclose or market, use to create, then or otherwise use is a clause, and that should be a no numbering clause. Also here, Weagree styling already knows the level 2 non-numbering clauses, so that comes in automatically. And then we have the confidentiality clause. Here it also runs quite well, and it is what generally available, received in good faith. Doesn't really matter because it's not going to be anything else than in the left side navigation, and in possession already, court orders, return or destroy. And if you walk through the document this way, you will see that it is going to work quite well. What we could do is that we indicate here, for example, by an asterisk that I would like to replace these clauses eventually by a clause library clause. The dispute resolution, it doesn't know how to name it, but I'm going to dispute resolution, and I'm also going to flag that one as well as the signatory block. Then the annexes come in as well. Once you start in tagging annexes and the rest that follows, what you will then see is that it will automatically put everything underneath the first annex into that first annex until there's a second annex. And after the import, the result will be an imported template where in the template there's a little block which basically contains all the tags for all the definitions, and it basically contains a placeholder with the tags of all the annexes referred to in the uploaded Word document. Now, if this is going to be a timely job, you can save and close and reopen it at a later stage, resume your work without completing the import. For now, I have completed the import, so for me it does make sense, and I can import. If basically you are going to save and close and later on want to resume, what you will do is on the administrator page you will go to the template name and click on the icon with the pen next to it. I am going to import it, and basically this is going to take a few seconds, fully automated, and it's now going to open with the template fully imported, and all I need to do is indicate whether it needs to have a cover page, whether I want to have a table of contents, what the house style should be, what the .x file should be connected to, the language, whether I want to process the Q&A annex by annex. I explained that already previously, show the annexes in the WYSIWYG, in the real-time editor, and then give names to the party. Party 1 being, in our case, licensor, licensor, and licensee being the other party 2, which is by default going to be indicated as a private limited company. And then for the other details, what you will see is that it also imported the original document together with the upload. If eventually you have inserted your Word document alongside and the full template set up in the questionnaire, then what you can do as a in a testing modus is that you go through the questionnaire, create your Word document, and that you create a compare against this original. So also your testing work eventually will become really very convenient. What you also see here, by the way, is the possibility to create an all options document, which is, of course, only useful once you have inserted the full Q&A with the full options. In that case, you click this button and it will generate a template with all the options next to each other. For now, I'm not going to do that. It doesn't make any sense. The questionnaire is not there yet, and I have imported it over here. Then it looks pretty much as it should. It has put the definitions in the definitions library. It has put the annex or schedule in the annexes library, and it has inserted the clauses as I wanted them to be here. The definitions one and the list of definitions is one that I don't want to have in the outline, so I'm going to remove this one because it's going to be a global building block. Also, as regards party clause, I will pick that one from the parties database. Parties block. The standard is what I want to include. So that's taken from the clause library. I also want to insert a definitions clause, definitions only. If I remember well, I want to insert it underneath background. This will trigger all the definitions to come into the agreement. Then we have these miscellaneous clauses, and I want to remove those as well. So I delete the clause as well as the severability clause. In the miscellaneous article, I want to include the contract clauses subsections for amendments, the counterparts if you want. It wasn't there, but I would like to insert it for our American and common law users. And it lists them as well. Then the dispute resolution clause has become redundant as well because I really want to remove it, including everything underneath it, which is in this case, unfortunately, it imported the word, the signature block as well, but I'm going to remove that anyhow. It's warning me because it's also going to remove everything underneath this. That's what I want. And then from here, I again go to the clause library. Insert dispute resolution clause. Where is it? The complete version. And I can put it underneath the miscellaneous clauses. That's one. And I want to insert the signatory block. Signatory block, the standard, underneath the dispute resolution clause. So also that one is in. Now I know that the imported annexes are listed in a little bit of a building block at the bottom. What I need to do is everywhere in the agreement where a tag reference is made to this licensed software tag, I need to insert that. And as you know, you might remember it from the licensed software from the previous training, that is supposed to be here. So here is where I need to insert the tag. And we had it underlined, save, And what I can then do is I don't need this block anymore because I've inserted all these annexes and I can remove it from the list. Same I need to do with the imported definitions. I would need to go to the clauses and basically make sure that these definitions are to be inserted, and I should want to do that confidential information from here. So select it including with the square brackets, and I'm going to, so no need to have that one anymore. I'm going to also insert the references, leave it as it is, whatever, doesn't matter that much. I also want to get the disclosing party definition, make that one bold, the receiving party definition, make that one bold. I have now the unique references, and as it contains them still, all remaining is the licensed software defined term, which is here at the end of the clause. Now, shouldn't be doing that, but it gives me the warning that I'm moving out of it while I have made changes in that clause. I know what I'm doing, and I do want to move out, save the changes. I'm not 100% sure if I cut it from there that I still have it on the clipboard of my computer to paste it over here. But I have now inserted it over here. I can now freely remove the entire building block over here, and what you will then see is that the definitions are still here listed, the annexes are listed, and the full template has been inserted. The final thing that I would like to explain to you over here is it possible, or how to add this confidentiality clause and make it a special confidentiality clause, because you know that we already have a simple version and we already have an extensive version, but how to add this clause that we have imported just with the Word document to the clause library so I can use it in other templates as well. Well, there is a button for that. Insert this building block into the clause library. I select the building block, and if I want to insert a subclause, but I'm not, but if I were to want a subclause, I would need to select that subclause, and basically I want to have the whole article added to the clause library. So insert it to the clause library. What it now asks me is for special cases is going to be the building block name. I can allocate it to one of the categories. You can modify the categories yourself. Intellectual property rights related is what I want to call it. There's a keyword. I don't necessarily want to have it shown in the clause library for end users, or I might as well decide to actually do that. It must be allocated to a user group. So if I wish, I could make it available to those who are a member of the user group IP and R&D. It depends, of course, on who you are. It's my name over here. The clause language has been determined already based on the language of the template. It would be very odd not to have that. And what I can do is that I attach a file over here which shows up in the entire overview of the clause library. Now, if I press save right now, it is going to add the confidentiality clause to the clause library and replace in the template that I've been inserting the locally clause by that clause library clause. And here's your template. This is all and as easy as it can get when you want to import your Word documents, but you may feel a little bit cheated right now by the copy-paste work in the previous admin training sessions. But I think it still proves helpful that you actually have those have had those sessions to see that you build the structure on the left-hand side and the drop-down on the right-hand side, and that you really get acquainted with how that works. That is the entire scope of this training session. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to insert the questionnaire and learn how to create full questionnaire elements. Thank you.